Catching up with Laura Rutledge from ESPN here at SEC Media Days. And before we get too deep into the minutia of what the SEC and college football is, we talked about it earlier on this week that the thing that impresses me so much about you, you're able to go from college to NFL every week, and it's seamless and one of the best to do it. What is that like for you having to, it's the same game technically on
Right.
the field, but it's so different of how you have to cover it, how you have to do it. What is that like for you week in and week out?
First of all, thank you. That's so kind of you to say. I feel like every week I'm beating myself up trying to be like, make sure that you know every single thing and going over it and over and over it. And the thing about the NFL is doing it every day, it's second nature. We're
Yeah.
talking about a lot of the same teams. I shouldn't say that because NFL Live, we do cover pretty much all of the teams in the NFL, but we're talking about a lot of the same players. There's not as much changeover as you see in college now. In college, it's totally different.
Yeah.
I start throughout the year. I mean, I'm just a college football fan, so I'm keeping track of what's going on. But even in preparation for this event or when we get into the actual season, I'm double, triple checking rosters. Like, let me make sure. Okay, this guy's here now, and I think a fan can relate to that because a
Yeah.
lot of fans are like, well, golly, when did that guy end up on this team? You
Yep.
know, and the sport's changed in such a way, but I find too that what happens is a lot of these guys, especially in the SEC, they end up in the NFL.
Yeah.
So it's an incredible frame of reference. And I spend a lot of time looking back and saying, well, when we covered Tua Tagovailoa at Alabama, this happened, and Jalen Hurts. And there are so many examples of that. I mean, this year's draft class, there's so many SEC players that I was fortunate enough to cover and talk about that it's fun to bring them into the NFL as well and to have that crossover. So, but at the end of the day, I'm just really thankful to get to do it. I always remind myself of that if I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. I'm like, you're so lucky to do this, and there's so many people that would love to have this job. So I try to look at all of it through a lens of gratitude.
Kind of change pace a little bit, some different questions than what you've gotten probably all day. But, me and Colin are both family people. I've got
Yeah.
a 4-year-old girl that just turned 4 2 days ago. So
Oh,
happy late birthday, Carson.
Carson,
Yeah.
happy birthday.
And then a two-month-old boy, and Colin kind of did the opposite. He's
Yeah.
got a
Wow.
little boy and then a fresh new baby girl.
How old?
2 months, a little over two
Wow,
months.
Yeah, so
you
we
guys are
are
in the thick of it right now.
very, very much
Y'all's
so.
wives are
Thanks to our
saints.
wives,
No doubt.
Shout out to the wives.
Yes, absolutely. So my question is, obviously, your big social media presence,
Yeah.
and I know you're very involved family-wise and with Reese with the helmet picks and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. So what's it like to be able to involve her with kind of your job on a day-to-day
Yeah.
basis?
It's a blessing. I mean, I there was a large portion of like the early part of my career where I didn't think it was possible to have kids and do this. I
Mhm.
just couldn't see it. It wasn't that anybody told me it wasn't possible. I just had a hard time envisioning that, and I definitely didn't think it'd be possible to have two. So I feel it's such a blessing. I say thank you prayers every day for these
Mhm.
children and that we're able to make it work. My husband is a saint. Josh is the best, but aside from that, I think it's been really neat seeing Reese just develop a passion for this.
Yeah.
And the way that the helmet pick started is actually so funny. Not a lot of people know this story, but back in the pandemic in 2020, we didn't travel the show.
Mhm.
And so we were doing everything remote, and she wasn't a year old yet when that season started. We were trying to think of something funny and different to do because we were all going to be at home. So we
Yeah.
had this idea of like babies versus dogs, but no one else really had a baby except me. So we were trying to get Tebow to do his dogs, and
Mhm.
Jordan Rogers, they have dogs, and then the dogs never did anything. So we were like, all right, well, we'll let Reese do something. So we would actually, my husband would wake her up from a nap and FaceTime into the show live. And she was doing those picks live. And I look back on it now and I'm like, that was so dangerous and dicey. Like she could have just done
Done
any old
anything,
thing,
yeah.
but she knew what to do and she would always pick, and her record was insane. And so
Mhm.
that was how it got started. And then obviously it's grown into what it's become. But it's always funny every year. We haven't asked her yet, but we ask her every year if she wants to do it. It's always
Yeah.
her decision. So it'll be interesting to see if she still wants to. But she loves football, and that's just been fun to share that passion with her.
Yeah.
We've talked about it all week. This event in the SEC Media Days and really Media Days across college football is kind of the last benchmark that the offseason is coming to
Yeah.
an end. When you get into late August, when football starts ramping up, what's the biggest question you have between now and then in this SEC?
Ooh, that's a great one. I think my biggest question, and today's going to be interesting because we'll see Tennessee, is what are they going to
Yeah.
be? They were a team with Nico Iamaleava and what it looked like that we're all thinking, hey, they're right back in the playoff. They're potentially contending for a national championship. And I'm not even saying that in the sense that, like, Iamaleava was that good, because
Yeah.
I think if you really look at the numbers, there was a lot left to be desired there. But yet you thought he's going to make a jump into his sophomore year, all that. And now you say, man, like, what are they going to be? And it honestly is a bit of a shame to me because I was so excited for them. Maybe I'll be wrong and they're going to be a lot better than we're expecting. But you've seen the odds drop, a ton to where they're not as favored. So that's a big question mark for me. And then also just the Alabama quarterback situation. How many years have we said that, right? But I think Ty Simpson is in pole position to win that job. But maybe not, and they've got other talent, and I think they're going to be a little better than people are talking about. So I'm excited to see that with Ryan Grubb back there in Tuscaloosa, back reunited with Kalen DeBoer. They should be a lot better. So those are kind of my two big questions. But man, it makes me. I could think of so many more. It makes me really excited for the season. I think it's going to be a remarkable SEC season.
So going into the season, what is probably a place or maybe a game in particular? I know it's kind of up in the air where you guys go, but
Yeah.
what's probably like your favorite place that you like to visit? And
Oh
I
my
and I'm a
goodness.
dog fan, so you can't say
Yes.
Florida because I know you're a Gator.
Okay,
So
so I won't pick Florida because I've been there so much that it's
yes,
like it's not as notable for me. Honorable mention, this is not my answer, but honorable mention is Austin because we
Okay.
did get to do that last year a couple times. We ended up there during the regular season, and then we also ended up there in the postseason when Texas hosted Clemson. And it's just cool. Like it's a really neat city. I would recommend to fans who haven't visited yet, like pick a Texas game if you're looking for one to go on the road and see. But my answer is LSU just because Baton Rouge is always crazy, but I think this year especially with the expectations
hmm
which are earned, right? This roster looks excellent. You get Nussmeier back. Brian Kelly has made some adjustments at some areas. They're changing up the defense just a little bit once again. Harold Perkins is back. Whit Weeks is incredible. I think they're a contender for the national championship. So when that happens, LSU fans like ratchet it up just one more notch or maybe a few more notches, and it makes Baton Rouge so much fun. It's such a great place to be. And Nation will be there at some point. I'm
yeah,
just not exactly sure when.
yep.
Laura, really appreciate you stopping by. I know today is busy with having to go around Digital Drive and then also your regular
Digital
job, but
Drive. Love
appreciate
it.
you taking time with us.
I love it, you guys. Thanks so much for having me. And best of luck being great dads. And really best of luck to your wives and the mamas because
Yes.
they're the rock stars.